our lesson, and then don't be afraid to rephrase the question in any other way. And after which we'll go to lunch. So let's make it fast. Thank you. Put your hands together for Thank you very much.
It's been a beautiful day, a good day, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm sure that there's nobody who's here who has regretted on
No.
So I missed the part of the prayer that you come together and praise. I was hearing you. But this program was already scheduled before I got to know of this. That's where there was a bit of a clash. And that little break of going to check out is what ate into the time I would have had to rush. I'm sure that God is blessing us in ways that we need. Praise God. All right, so if there are any questions, I will answer them. Otherwise, I would just expand a little more on some of the things I was sharing. My grandfather was a native doctor. He had 6 wives, and none of the wives had less than 6 children. So he had about 36. Now, with 36 children, you don't play. So 36 children plus 6 wives is 42 people plus himself 43. To feed 43 people in a day is not fun. So all he had time for was farm, 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 farm. He gave every wife a farm and told her, you and your children, farm and eat. So when we were growing up and our father, we couldn't connect with him. He was very focused on providing food, shelter, school fees. And he prided himself on being a very good father. I grew up and I do not have many memories of my dad and I having any meaningful conversations. So that formed part of the anger I had. Why can't I have my dad? And he had a lot of issues with my mom because she gave birth to a lot of girls. And that became a problem. So when I began to work with children in addictions and all of that, I realized that my dad couldn't be the kind of father I wanted because you can't give what you don't have. He didn't know how to sit with his children and have meaningful conversations. So he came from his dad to him to us. I watched my oldest brother before he died. He tried to break out of that mold. But without the help of God, nobody can make lasting changes. So there's some demonic holds over families, some patterns that are deeply entrenched. It will take spiritual warfare to break through some of those things. So, my dad couldn't give what he didn't have. Now, listen to this. My grandfather was a native doctor. All his children would tell us that he only did good medicine. He did not do bad one. But out of the 36 children, only one of them made it in life and stood out. All the others came to him to collect. Then 36 gave birth to children. I have more than 100 cousins. Out of the 100, I removed myself because I'm female and I bear another name. Out of that over 100 cousins, only one has made it. The others come to him. He's a 3rd generation. Something is going. Without God entering into lineages, we can't break out of something. But this is the price many are not willing to pay. Every generational, transitional person in every family has to pay some heavy prices. I have paid a lot of prices in my family, but I'm watching my nephews and nieces wearing youth copper uniform that their fathers and mothers never wore. I'm watching them turning and facing God. I'm watching them give birth to visions that they are having. I'm watching them walk with their hands. I'm watching them make different choices. It was alcohol, tobacco, Indian hemp, and for some of them, crack that killed my siblings. One of them died from addiction to a painkiller, opioids. She died from addiction to pentazocine. She was born sick. So in a bid to control her pain, she became an infant in the village. We couldn't understand it. And that's what trauma does to you. Trauma messes with your thinking patterns and thinking processes. So she went to live with this man. We looked for her for almost a year. Couldn't find my sister. Finally, we found her in that village. And once the man knew that her family had located her, he pushed her out and denied the pregnancy. She was 16. She had the baby at 17. So my dad took her in and took the baby and gave the baby his name. The girl born. Up to today, the man has never acknowledged his daughter. She'll be 40 next year. So he has never come. So the girl bears my father's name. I was living in Port Harcourt and she was in the village with my dad. And my dad was retired now and he was in the village. So she was there in the village with my dad. Her mom married somebody else. And I just got a call in Port Harcourt. We can't find her. How old was she? 16. She ran away at 16. You see? I said, excuse me, why? They don't know. I gave everybody money. Look for this child, wherever. Because I recognized my sister was 16. I was the one in the car with my mother, going from city to city looking for my senior sister. So they found her in, guess what? Village. Go big. That is, if I asked you to guess anywhere, would you have called Gombe? You wouldn't even come to your mind. That's where that child went. I said, bring her to me, Papa. Don't take her back to my father's house. Bring her to me. She was the first to come to me while my mother was still alive. I asked her, why did you go? She said, Mommy, I don't know. Something was just telling me go. It's the devil. He establishes patterns so that for generations the same thing will happen.
God forbid.
Somebody has to take a stand. Somebody has to interfere with the enemy so he doesn't get to build these kingdoms in people's lineages.
Yes.
The word iniquity. Iniquity is the penchant, is the bent towards sin that exists in a lineage, such that every time members of that lineage come to that point, they all fall. They all fall. That's what happened to David. David, Amnon, Absalom, Adonijah, Solomon. But it wasn't David, it was Judah. Moses, Aaron, you know Aaron too didn't end well. God killed him. So Miriam had leprosy. Miriam, Aaron, Moses. But it was Levi, 10 generations ago. That was the problem. You see. But in the same way, we have Joseph. Manasseh and Ephraim didn't get thrown out of the family because Joseph decided, I'm done with this nonsense. So everybody here must decide, you see this nonsense in my house, I'm done. It ends with me. It cannot cross this generation into the next.
Amen.
There are some families, once the young boys start making it, they drop dead. Some families, no matter how hard they read, they can't pass exam. They study, but they will fail. There are some families, 5 daughters, not one is married. Or they marry and one by one return to the father's house. I know a family that the 5 daughters married and not one could have a child. 5 daughters. Until one of the daughters, I think number 3, decided, no, I'm done with this, and she went into warfare.
That's right.
The men are busy chasing money, they're not going to enter warfare.
They don't even believe. Some of them don't believe.
Boom. So we have to put their disbelief aside and do what should be done. You are the nurturer. You are the breeder. You breed. You are the incubator. You are the spiritual powerhouse. You know, the Bible calls the Holy Spirit the helper. Then it calls the woman the helper. Do you realize that your role is more spiritual than it is physical? Why would God trust a woman to break generational patterns? Because a woman is a redeemer. God said to me, do you know why I give a man a wife? I don't give him a wife so she can wear a ring and show off. So she can change her name and bear his name, so she can be Mrs. I give a man a wife for redemption. Hey, when I heard that, I broke down and I started crying. Redemption. The only time or the only thought that comes to my head when I think of redemption is Jesus. And redemption is dying. He said, I give a man or wife for redemptive purposes. Why? So that she can break the cycle of the previous generation as she enters into this man's life to start up a new generation. So anything that has crossed from the past generation to your generation is because you didn't do a good job. So get on the business of reversing. Some things are chronic, it will take time to reverse, but you must persevere. When you were speaking, you said patience, right? Yes. Some things won't go away like that. You must patiently. You know, I just noticed that some of my nephews and nieces started drinking and smoking like their parents. Can I tell you something? I used to drink and smoke, and I used to drink with them. I didn't smoke. My father used to give us to drink from age 2. So we were sabotaged, just like Jacob was sabotaged by what Sarah had done. I was tricked into it. It's the mercy of God. See, I'm fanatical about God because I shouldn't be here. I should have died with all of them. No. I was drinking with them until one day I went to church on Christmas Eve when I was 10 years old, and I misbehaved in church because I was drunk. Wow. Nobody knew I had drunk. I didn't used to drink beer. I didn't like it. I drank only expensive drinks, brandy and whiskey. Before the age of 10. That's what I used to do. So I quaffed one big Ghana guy who said you come. You know that cup they call who said
Yes,
you come? I had filled it with whiskey from my father's gallon of whiskey. My father didn't buy whiskey in 1 liter bottles. He bought it in 4 liter bottles. It's a gallon with a handle. If you pour who said you come, nobody will notice. I poured it and drank on Christmas Eve. We went to church. And my sisters had given their name that the Bature daughters will sing special song. And their colors. Nobody knew I had quaffed who said you come of whiskey. We lined up, sang the song very well. Me, I know people make mistake. Them, they make mistake. It is when we finished the song, everybody went to their seats. They told me that I stood there. Ordinarily, I'm not the child to stand there. I was a very shy child. I was withdrawn. But I stood there. So they were asking me. They said, they talked to my mother, Mommy, did she tell you? Why is she that? So everybody at the church went quiet. They told me because I did not have to clear my body. I was drunk. So I stood there and I quoted one verse. I wanted everybody to open their Bible. Because that time there's no phone or it's paper Bible. This is 47 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And they said what I said. My father said what I said is not in the Bible. So everybody started laughing. And what they concluded was that, oh, the little girl forgot her memory verse. No, it wasn't. I was wrong. So the next day when they were telling me the story and having a laugh, the mercy of God came to me in the form of a question. If I can go to church, if I drink and go to church and misbehave, then drinking cannot be good. And that was the last day I drank. Oh, they don't know in my family that was my turning point. It was my turning point. So, having escaped it and seen it ravaging through my family, I decided these ones, no. Some of them took off. I'm trusting God for that one, that He will find His way back. But one by one, I've seen them. God has done wonders with their lives. God is doing wonders with their lives. And I'm so thankful. Anything is possible, people, if you persevere. For many years, you could never find a dime in any of my accounts. How can I keep it? The moment I get 50,000, one child will tell me, Mommy, they said we should pay.
No.
It's gone. Mommy, we have to pay. It's gone. For many years it was tough, but here we are. One of them, once she collects her salary, she will send me airtime credit. Mommy,
Wow.
this is your credit for the month.
Wow.
It feels so good
I know.
to receive from them. There was a time, my nephew, who is 26 now, or 27, when he was 14, they were about to go back to school, they lined up again. When I saw the amount of money I needed to raise for them to go back, I shouted him for not doing it. Hey, these children, you will not kill me. Oh. The boy sat up with a lot of anger on his face. Mommy, don't ever talk of dying. Don't ever mention death here. You will not die until you eat my money.
Amen.
So I started crying. That's the passion. So anything is possible, people, if we are willing. If we stay with it, we win. Amen. Any questions? Please ask. Don't go home with your question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you have all this burden from your family and everybody, how did you keep your marriage?
Yeah. My husband met me on the pulpit. The day he met me, I was holding a program, ministry. And he said to me, there is a great grace upon you. In fact, Bature is my maiden name. Why am I still bearing it? Because he said to me, everybody already knows you as Christy Bature. It would be unfair to marry and the man will say, take my name, then you start building a whole new identity. He said, keep the Bature as your middle name. Keep it as your stage name. 1, 2, he was kind enough to, okay, so what he did was, he said, I will take care of all our children. And all our children came out here to go to university to the US, even though some of them were born here. Bethany was born here in California. So he paid all the bills for the children. I faced my family. He did not pressure me about taking care of them. He let me do it, and he faced our children, and for that I was thankful. So every money that came, I could. And then number 2, that's going to take me to another story, but let me continue. There was a time in my marriage I became very complacent about spirituality. I felt, husband gets, house fine, children day, waiting again, and I'll just be sleeping and eating. My children's school was 5 minutes from my house, but they will be late every day because I couldn't get up from the bed. I become lazy. I wasn't praying no more. And little by little, my life began to unravel. My husband began to, I started putting on a lot of weight, and I'm not tall. I started making statements that I don't like fat women. I don't like fat stomach. I don't think I'll be going anywhere with you. We started getting on the bed and he put a pillow between the 2 of us. After a while, he left the bed and was sleeping on the floor. I went to God and said, God, what is happening? My life is unraveling. What is happening? And God said to me, you have removed me from the center of your life. I have no defense when the enemy comes to accuse you. Where am I in the scheme of things? I'm no longer at the center. So whatever you get to take. If you want your life back, put me back in the center. The only way I could start getting back the spiritual exercise I had been doing for years was to wake up at 4:30 a.m. And you know, your flesh has a very loud voice. My body was there, 4:30. You can't do it though. It's too early. Hey. I set alarm. When the alarm rang at 4:30, you snooze it. My body said, if you knew you were going to wake early, you should have slept early. You sleep small. Have you ever heard that voice before? Yeah. If you obey, do you sleep small? No. You go pass. I jumped up and I went to pray. I did not assimilate anything because I was asleep. But I went downstairs, and by 7 a.m. when he came down, the children were ready for school. For the first time in a long time. He just looked and said, carried the children and went to school. The was not laughter. It was like, let us see how long this will last. By the 5th day, I didn't need the alarm to wake me. My body. See, that's the thing. God gave us brains that are retrainable. Yeah. We don't have rigid brains. So you can retrain your brain to do anything. My body started waking up before the alarm will ring. Then I will put it up so I don't disturb it. 5 weeks. So I discovered that I would get the children ready and he hadn't come downstairs yet. So I began to skip. In the parlor, I don't need to go to I was skipping. I began to lose weight. One day, 5 weeks into that prayer, I woke up at 4:30. I was going to go and pray. He held my hand. He said, every time you wake up at 4:30, I pity you. Just because I've been harassing you. He said, sleep a little, I'll wake you. For my mind, I say, see me, see trouble. See trap. This man will say, lazy wife, lazy mother. Now you are telling me sleep. I lay down there in obedience, but I didn't sleep. After 30 minutes, she came and tapped me. Okay, I can go and pray now. So I got up and I went to the toilet. I heard our bedroom door open, and I assumed one of the children came upstairs. By the time I finished and went downstairs, my children were sitting on the dining table eating. Daddy had bathed them and had made breakfast. Bishop, what is going on here? He came back that evening and said to me, I'm a very demanding husband, I know. He said, but just taking care of these children for one day, I see how much you have to do. He said, I think you need help. Oh, I need help where? This woman that is lazy, help out. That's the day I got a cook. He didn't even get me a Nigerian cook, he got me a foreigner. And then he came back the next day and said to me, the work is still plenty. And that was the first time I got a nanny. He hired them. In fact, at a point I had 2 cooks. So basically I was doing nothing in my house now. Because, see, putting God in the center, he fixed my life.
Yes.
The same man in the same house. I had 2 cooks. Now, I live in a very big house. No, not a big house, big compound. My house is not very big, it's the grounds that are many. I have in my house horses. At a point we had 9 horses, we had 14 dogs, we had pigs, we had a piggery, we had a fish pond, we had pigeons, parrots, rabbits, guinea pigs, we had cats, we had goats, we had grass cutter. It's like a ranch. Children come for excursion to my house in the GRA. They will write to us, please, the children of our school want to come on excursion to your house. I say, come. They will come, we saddle the horses, they will ride, they'll go and watch the fish, feed the fish, we'll catch some for them, we'll go and see the pigs, and all of that. So my husband said to me, it's a lot of work taking care of this whole thing. I got a gardener, I got a washerman, even though we have washing machine. So the only thing the washerman used to do was to fold the clothes and bring to the house. Iron and fold and bring to the house. He got all of that. Then I got a guy who took care of the animals. And then one day he came and said to me, all these workers, if they keep coming to you, it's stressful. Then he employed a supervisor for all of them. I only dealt with the supervisor. It's in the same house. So what I'm saying is, if God is at the center, he directs your choices, your decisions, your speech, your courage, your attitude, and you get the best out of the same man who was nasty before. That's how I get. And then my husband didn't mind eating food that was frozen. You know, there are some men that say you must make the soup fresh every day. No. He gave me money once a month. I went to the market once a month. I came, my backyard has the tripod with firewood. I will cook all the soup. Like, you can come and meet me cooking 6 soups at the same time. Once I finish, I pack them into Tupperware that will finish once we open it once. And I pack them in the freezer for the month. So all my children need to do, or they cook. You make curry, or you boil rice, and he will eat that, even if I'm not around. So those are some of the ways that he supported me. It wasn't just caring for my nieces and nephews. I traveled a lot, ministry. But I didn't do a lot of traveling when my children were still very small. I was mostly in the city. When they grew bigger and they were no longer at home in boarding school, ministry also expanded. So first of all, he met me busy. He didn't meet me sitting down waiting for husband before I started. I started. So when he met me, he had respect for what I do. So he allowed me to continue. In fact, if he had not allowed me, I wouldn't have married him. Because this is my identity. You can't turn me into something else. Praise God. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Any other question? Even if it doesn't have to do with what we talked about, if something is bothering you as a woman, I am a certified counselor too. I could talk. I could answer your question. Is there anything else anybody wants to ask? If not, I think my day is done. I've had 5 sessions today. That's not funny.
I'd love to share what you know, it's like it's been a month. Let me share just what helped me, one of the things that helped me. Before I got married, because I have seen marriages where there have been a lot of contention. So before I got married, I made a decision that I would never cross my husband. I would never say a bad word to him. And I would never say a bad word to my children. I didn't know whether I was gonna have any, but I made a decision that, because I said, if I tell him you're stupid, then at night, then we'll come and
Touch my body.
touch, and then that's a stupid man now.
That is
Because
touching me.
so which means we are all stupid. So I made a decision I will never. I also made a decision that I will not exchange words with him in the presence of children.
Anybody involved, children.
Because based on what my mom had told me. So in my house, and I also made a decision, when I had my children, I made a decision that the home was gonna be a safe place where they could be who they are without being stifled. They shouldn't come home fearful. So, and I kept, it's not that I didn't quarrel with my
No, let me
husband.
ask you, because I was waiting for you to finish. Was it easy to keep that decision?
It wasn't.
It won't be. Absolutely not.
But then, because I had made that decision before, I even met him. Up till today, I've never said, you're stupid. I never said that to him. Because I made that decision that I would never curse him out. I can say, I don't like what you did. I don't like what you did. I will lay my complaints.
That's right.
But I will not insult, I will not use the bad words. And because of that, he has never used it, insulted me. Because I felt that I have to be that intentional. And then I now transfer it to the children to say, so S1, when you say, oh, use an S1, you shut up. When you say shut up, I say, you don't say shut up, just say keep quiet. Just to make sure that they are maintaining that. And so, so I'm just saying that to say that that was a decision I made, that I wasn't going to do that. And I kept asking God, help me to make sure that I don't go back. Because if I say, this is a man who is the head of the household, and I insult him, which means I'm insulting the household, and I myself in the process too. So that was the decision I made. I just wanted to share.
It reminds me, my mother-in-law is the typical mother-in-law that ever said. Intrusive, confrontational, abusive, everything. And some of my husband's brothers married before him, even though he's the first son. And when I came into the marriage, they called me to advise me how to deal with Mama. Mama is nasty, Mama is unkind, Mama is unfriendly, Mama is wicked. She will be saying things to you, this is how to deal with Mama. If she does anything to do to you, deal with her. When your husband comes, she will report, just start crying. I said, hey, Mama, me, and the marriage, it's your word against her. And I looked at them and I said, if your way was okay, you used to be fighting with Mama years after you married. I said, I'm going to find a better way. Now, before I married, before I met him, I'd made up my mind, I would never fight with my mother-in-law. I thought that God would hear that and keep me a very nice woman. He gave me fire. He wanted to test that commitment.
Yes.
So Mama came into our lives, and the first thing was, they grew up in Enugu, so they speak Igbo in their house, but they are Benin. She said to him, Onye Ede, where is she from? My husband said, Karina, Mbam, Aro, Ewausa.
Hey, Chineke.
Ewausa, Mbam.
Oh no.
Now, that was grounds for everlasting enmity.
I know.
With Mama, me, good. Mama didn't even go to school. She's calling me good. I can decide that the fight is forever.
I know.
Like I said earlier when I was speaking, flip the coin on the devil.
Yep.
I don't have 2 horns on my head. My body is not hairy. My nose is not long. I don't know what she's talking about. It's not. So her first issue was where I was from, and she became an enemy instantly. That was so for everybody. She found the reason for being enemy.
Yes.
My own was because I was here. So I married my husband.
Oh,
After a few months, I said to him, I want to go to Benin. He said, for what? I said, I want to visit your mom. He said, I'm taking Lord to Benin.
I know.
If you go to my mother, you will go to your father's house from there. My mother will kill you married. Don't. I said, no, don't worry. I'll come. I carried myself to Benin. And I went to her house. Who be that? That's how my mother said. Now, who be that? That's who be in me. I entered the house. She looked at me. Now, it's. I said, I don't see you. When I begin, so me and not Abikim. I said, Mama, he's in Port Harcourt. Eh? Only you want can come here. I said, yes. Something happened. I said, she was thoroughly puzzled that I was not afraid to come to her house alone. And she don't take me like this. See chair there, sit down. Dismissed me. I sat down. After 5 minutes, I just got, not a word was said. After 5 minutes, I just went and knelt in front of her. I said, "If I help her, come find me." She said, "Wait." See, every time I make stew, my husband will say it's boiled tomato. He doesn't like my stew. It's the one you have been making since he was a child.
That's his
That's what
remembering.
he's used to. I said, Mama, I beg, no be stew will scatter my marriage. Now come and show me how you make stew.
Yours too.
Every hardness on that woman's face dissolved.
Oh.
She said, but again, I became her Pikin. Where did you go? I said, Mama, it's not only stew. There's this Benin soup called Owo. I said, here, every time I make that soup, the oil will be here. The soup will be here. Please, ma. He said, now the account way they use, you don't know the correct time. She said, Mom, will they go market? Oh. My mother has 6 boys. I'm the only daughter-in-law on record who has ever gone to market with my mother. And come back in peace. We went, we bought the thing together. Only me cooked with Mama in the kitchen, no fight. We cooked everything together. When we finished, she carried her bed and ran it. All her neighbors are even scared of her. She ran back, come on, all the food, come. All the men came, all the women came and stood here and waited. Hey, I want to when I make on help me, thank God. Make on help me, thank God. They say what? He said, God, don't give me one. They say one word, they say one daughter-in-law. The rest, I don't know them.
Oh.
Why? I just asked God, how can I get this one? See, Mama had 11 children. If she stands here with, by herself and the husband stands there with the children, and she tells them that this carpet is yellow. By the time she's done, all of them will say it's yellow. So I needed Mama on my side.
Yes.
Because if Mama is your advocate in the family, ain't nobody touching you. So I asked God, what do I do? He said, go and validate her.
Yes.
So I made her feel, you think I don't know how to make stew?
I know.
I just made her, Mama said, hey, from that day now, if we have issue with my husband, she will call him. I think you don't start. I think you don't start. My husband said, what? You are looking for that girl's trouble.
I know what.
My husband said, you didn't even ask what happened. I don't need to ask. That girl not they find trouble now. Now she will quarrel with him twice. She became my advocate for trouble. One day I did something, and they went for family meeting. My brother-in-law was reporting me in the meeting. Mama slapped him.
I know what.
He jacked his shit, liar. That's one of the
Firebrand.
married. Who they talk about AKC? Not be that AKC is the Benin tradition, the Benin pronunciation of Christian. I said, Mama, one day I go keep person because you know me. She said, AKC, you know, if you keep person, you don't get that kind of mind. But I actually did what I know. I actually did it. So, what we need is wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. You pay back in a good coin.
Part of the problem is that the way we are raised to make our lives about a man. Yes. But the arm of flesh will fail. Yeah. That's what matters. It doesn't matter whether the flesh is husband or friend. It will fail. We must draw our identity from God. Then any man that comes into our lives will respect that. And we know that it's not about you, it's about God. So, what happens if we're about God? We do the will of God in this person's life, and we get the same back. But when we draw our identity from a man, we are reduced to the man's whims and caprices. We're reduced to his treatment of us, whether it's good or bad. We become riveted on how he is, who he is. But I have my sense of self from God, so it doesn't matter what he's doing. It doesn't matter what he does or doesn't do. I'm okay with my own company. I'm strong. I'm a complete human being. I'm not waiting for him to complete me. Because that puts pressure on the man. He can't. He doesn't have capacity to complete you. He wasn't designed to.
Oh, I know.
So you become strong by yourself, and then. Thank you very much.